right, so let's welcome Trideep Bhattacharya on board. Trideep, hi, welcome to the Money Show, and let's talk about the market movement. And every day we are seeing a new high in the market. Definitely the Santa Party or a great year end, which we are seeing in the market with new highs every day. The bulls are in full force, but I really want to understand the triggers and sustaining triggers, because we're also entering 2024 with this kind of a rally. What are you seeing that is happening in the market?
So, first of all, thanks, Kavita, for inviting me on your show, and through yourself, through your very successful show. Wish everyone happy year-end holidays and hopefully, New Year. I would say that we've seen a great year where, by and large, growth has surprised on the positive, not just in India but also globally. I think X of China, on the face of the fastest tightening that we saw in the last 40 years, growth in 2023 has actually been better than expected. Now, with that background, when we look into 2024, I expect 2024 to be a year of transitions, where from a macro standpoint, we would be making three transitions for sure, if not many others. First of all, for the benefit of viewers, let me tell you that we will move from economics to politics. At least 50% of the top 20 nations globally will go through their national elections in 2024, including US and India. And that, in my opinion, will shape the geopolitical environment for the next 3 to 5 years. And in the short term, will kind of create a bit of volatility in the market. That's the first, I would say, transition that we would see. Second, we would see a transition from inflation to disinflation. So 2023, by and large, we have been bothered about how strong inflation has been and the fact that it has taken longer to come down. 2024, we would see actually inflation coming down. My sense is the pace at which it will come down would be slower, but nevertheless, we will deal with disinflation, which means slightly better macro environment for consumers and markets in general. And the third area that I would point out is we are gradually sort of getting into the mature end of the market cycle, wherein we saw a good post-COVID recovery, and we will now have a normalized market environment. And hence, from that perspective, the sectoral, it has sectoral implications in terms of what they will do and what they will not do, implications from value and growth perspective, large cap, mid and small cap perspective. So those would be the three large transitions that we would make in 2024. And on the back of all of this, I would expect the global growth rates to bottom out in 2024. So we'll start with probably weakening growth rates. And as we end 2024 and move into 2025, I'm talking calendar year here, we would see bottoming out of global growth rates coming through. So those would be the 3 or 4 big transitions that we would see. So it's going to be a fairly noisy macro market in 2024, and we have to navigate through carefully.
All right. So can we say that this rally that we are seeing is majorly large cap led, and that is what is likely to be continued in 2024?
So if I put all of this in the context that I said, first the macro picture and then how valuations stack up, I would say that the valuations today for large caps are about 10 to 15% lower than their 10-year average. And on the other hand, if I look at mid and small caps, there the valuations are at 10 to 15% premium to 10-year average. So the valuation picture is clearly in favor of large caps. And if FIIs turn out to be buyers, then I think that's one space which would do relatively better. But on the other side, the earnings momentum over the medium term would be in favor of mid and small caps. So completely going out of mid and small caps could also be not advisable. So what we are suggesting is, while there is better risk reward balance in large cap, we have to be selective while stock picking within mid and small caps.
Exactly. So when we are looking at being selective in mid and small cap, which sectors, according to you, have some more steam left?
So I think the way I think about that is, as I talked about a noisy macro, in these circumstances, the area to focus on are the areas where we think in India. Second, we think as a beneficiary of rate cuts over time, NBFCs could be a good place to be from a 2024 perspective. Third, I would say that we are in the middle of an upcycle in real estate. And I think particularly they would also be seen as the beneficiary of interest rate cuts as 2024 progresses. The fourth area that I would highlight is basically power. I think over the next 2 to 3 years, India is getting into a situation where we are likely to face power deficit. And in that circumstances, the power related stocks are likely to be a good spot for earnings resilience overall. And the final area that I would put as dark horse is IT or technology. I think inclusive of EMS, IT could be seen as a dark horse and as a play on bottoming out of global macro as the year progresses through the year through 2024. We think that these would be the 4 or 5 areas where if we focus our portfolios in and around that, then broadly speaking, we should be doing fine. In our portfolios, for instance, about 70 to 75% of our portfolio are oriented towards these themes and these sectors that we just discussed.
Talking about elections, because that's going to be the major focus in the first quarter of the year and slightly more than that. How do you think markets playing out? I mean, it's very clear from the state's election, it's more likely for the Lok Sabha elections to be one-sided. But then how are markets looking at it? And are we also looking at a new high?
So I think, overall, I would say that given the results of the state elections, the base case for equity markets is likely to be the incumbent victory in the national elections in 2024. The margin by which they will come could be up for debate, but that would be the base stance of the markets, and hence in that context, heading into the exit polls and proximity to national elections, we would expect the markets to remain strong. Post that, of course, how the situation evolves and how the elections turn out to be remains to be seen, and market will adjust accordingly. But the base case scenario would be markets would anticipate an incumbent victory of BJP-led teams, and hence a stronger markets overall.
All right, one last question and then we'll wrap up the discussion. Now, talking about your portfolio, talking about rebalancing or reevaluating your portfolio, for all those people who might have gone heavy in mid-cap and small cap, do you think it's time for them to also start looking at large cap and specifically active large cap strategies? Because we've seen a lot of buzz going around for passive large caps where investor interest has also increased. But looking at the way we are seeing the large cap stories making a comeback, and come on, all said and done, you really need a large cap exposure in your portfolio to give you sustainability and to also give you to reduce the volatility also. How do you think one should be looking at the reallocation in their portfolio across market caps?
Yeah. So just to summarize that what we have discussed, we think that the valuations are in favor of large caps clearly. The earnings momentum over the medium term is in favor of mid and small caps, but there in pockets we do have irrational exuberance coming along. So the way to balance the risk-reward balance and at the same time medium-term earnings momentum is to have a balanced portfolio between large, mid, and small, which could be kind of a flexi cap, a multi-cap portfolio, or a large cap portfolio with a meaningful amount of, or with a decent amount of exposure to mid and small caps. We think while in the near term, large caps have better risk-reward balance, post-elections, as one takes a slightly longer-term earnings outlook, a balanced portfolio would make stock selection selective within mid and small caps and yet give you the exposure of the large caps overall.
All right, with that, Trideep, it's a wrap. Thank you so much for being on the show today and helping our viewers in order to design their portfolio coming ahead in 2024. Thank you so much.
Thank you.